Our favorite celebrities have left behind lasting legacies, and their final words are haunting reminders of how much they will be missed. Betty White had been a star since television went mainstream in the US in the 1950s. She starred in the sitcom Life with Elizabeth, won 2 Emmys for her role on The Mary Tyler Moore Show, and solidified icon status as Rose Nyland on The Golden Girls. In her 90s, White was among the ensemble cast of Hot in Cleveland. In late December 2021, White suffered from a stroke. 6 days later, in the early hours of December 31st, White died at the age of 99, just a few weeks before her 100th birthday. The actor died in her sleep, but just before drifting off, her assistant heard what would be White's last utterance. As Page 6 reports, the assistant revealed, the very last word out of her mouth was Alan. The Alan to which White referred was likely her husband, game show host Alan Ludden, who died in 1981. A definitive movie star of the golden age of Hollywood, Humphrey Bogart brought a brooding, charismatic intensity to all of his roles. Bogart earned 3 Academy Award nominations in his career, receiving notice for his roles in The Caine Mutiny and Casablanca, and winning an Oscar for The African Queen. Bogart was diagnosed with esophageal cancer in 1956, and he convalesced after treatments and surgeries at his home in Hollywood. On January 13, 1957, Bogart's wife, actor Lauren Bacall, had to leave the house to pick up their children from Sunday school. In her memoir, By Myself, Bacall wrote, "I said I'd be right back and kissed him as I always did." Bogart replied, "Hurry back," and "Goodbye, kid," affectionately evoking his famous Casablanca line.
He's looking at you, kid.
While Bacall was out, Bogart slipped into a coma and died the next day. One of rock's most powerful and signature voices of the 1990s, Chris Cornell fronted Soundgarden, the Seattle-based rock band that helped popularize the grunge sound. His powerful, soaring vocals made modern classics out of hard and heavy hits like Black Hole Sun, Outshined, and Fell on Black Days. On May 17, 2017, a reunited Soundgarden played a show at the Fox Theater in Detroit. Cornell returned to his MGM Grand hotel room, and after taking 2 doses of anti-anxiety medication, he called his wife Vicky around 11:30 p.m. Noting her husband's slurred speech, Cornell explained, "I'm just tired," and then wrapped up the call. 15 minutes later, Vicky Cornell asked bodyguard Martin Kirsten to check on her husband. The doors to both his room and bathroom were locked, so Kirsten broke them down, only to find an unresponsive Cornell on the floor. Later determined to have died by suicide, Cornell was 52. The quintessential blonde bombshell of the mid-20th century, Marilyn Monroe captivated a nation of movie fans. Adored for her work in comedies like Some Like It Hot, Gentlemen Prefer Blondes, Let's Make Love, and How to Marry a Millionaire, she proved her mettle in dramas like The Misfits and Bus Stop. Just past midnight on August 5, 1962, a deceased Monroe was discovered in the bedroom of her home in the Brentwood neighborhood of Los Angeles. The troubled star was 36, and her death was attributed to a fatal and intentional overdose of sedatives. Monroe had a telephone receiver in her hand, and the last known call she made was to her friend Peter Lawford, an actor and relative by marriage to President John F. Kennedy, with whom Monroe was rumored to have had an affair. In 1985, the Los Angeles Police Department report on Monroe's death was released to the public. Lawford attested that Monroe concluded their conversation with a series of farewells. "Say goodbye to your wife, say goodbye to Jack Kennedy, and say goodbye to yourself, because you're a nice guy." There's no denying that through his work with the Beatles and his solo career, John Lennon has had an immeasurable impact on the music world. Sadly, his life was cut short by Mark Chapman, who resented Lennon's comments about the Beatles being bigger than Jesus. Chapman shot Lennon in the back multiple times at close range. On December 8, 1980, Lennon was 40 years old. According to the 2023 Apple TV Plus docuseries John Lennon, Murder Without a Trial, the front desk clerk, Jay Hastings, heard his final words. Hastings explains in the documentary, "He runs past me. He goes, 'I'm shot.' He had blood coming out of his mouth. He just collapsed on the floor. I half rolled him to his back and took his glasses off, put them on the desk, and Yoko was screaming, 'Get an ambulance, get an ambulance, get an ambulance.'" Perhaps more sadly still, just before the shooting, Lennon and his wife had discussed going out to eat before going home, but instead they chose to go home immediately to see their son Sean before he went to sleep.
For me, it was just so sad that, I wasn't going to see him again and we weren't going to hang up.
As the king of rock and roll, Elvis Presley popularized his genre, and helped make it the dominant form of music in the US. Also a sex symbol and star of numerous musical comedies, Presley churned out hits like Hound Dog, Jailhouse Rock, and Suspicious Minds, before taking on an elder statesman role via long residencies in Las Vegas. Suffering from insomnia and serious constipation linked to his heavy consumption of prescription painkillers, antidepressants, sleeping pills, and allergy medications, Presley got out of his bed in his Graceland estate in the early hours of August 16, 1977. That woke up his fiancée, Ginger Alden. According to her memoir, Ginger and Elvis, Alden explained that Presley told her, "I'm going to the bathroom to read." To that, she replied, "Okay, but don't fall asleep." Presley died in the bathroom, and Alden discovered the body of the 42-year-old rock and roll legend around 2 p.m. He was pronounced dead at a Memphis hospital that afternoon. A child star as the lead singer of Motown's The Jackson 5 in the 1970s, Michael Jackson became the biggest musical star on the planet in the 1980s. His 1982 album Thriller would eventually sell more than 66 million copies worldwide, and subsequent LPs like Bad and Dangerous would move multiple millions too. Experiencing a steep downturn in popularity following a number of scandals and serious allegations of child sexual abuse, Jackson mounted a comeback in 2009, lining up a residency of shows at London's O2 Arena. After a concert rehearsal in Los Angeles, Jackson returned home past midnight on June 25, 2009, and went straight to bed. He had difficulty falling asleep and asked his personal physician, Dr. Conrad Murray, for a series of powerful sedatives on which he often relied. As reported by the BBC, he implored Murray, "Please, please give me some milk so that I can sleep." That milk was what Jackson nicknamed propofol, a surgical-grade anesthetic that the singer had regularly consumed for 2 months. Murray complied. Jackson never woke up, having taken a lethal amount of medication. He was 50 years old. If you or anyone you know is having suicidal thoughts, please dial or text 988 to speak with the National Suicide Prevention Lifeline. You can also seek help by visiting 988lifeline.org.